Hi everyone, this is Kathleen. I go by the name Mrs. McTutor on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the English Regents Review for Part 3, the text analysis. So I'm going to offer you some strategies for success. So here's a one-page overview of what takes place during Part 3 of the text analysis response. You will read one text that they give you, and you will have to write a text analysis response. The directions will tell you to write a 2 to 3 paragraph essay. In all my classes, I suggest that we write the 3 paragraph essay. To me, it's just much easier to approach it this way. And your job will be to identify the central idea in the text, analyze how the author's use of one writing strategy develops the central idea, and of course, you will have to include specific examples and explain to be successful. Okay, so the approach. Let's look at some ways to approach writing a text analysis response. Always annotate the directions. Um, if you do not always annotate your directions, there's always a chance that you might leave something out that you were supposed to do. So whether it's a Regents essay or any assignment or essay that you have, you should always annotate directions. So you can highlight, underline, put stars next to all the things that they're asking you to do. And when you're finished writing, you definitely want to go back to your directions and make sure that you really did hit all the marks. Okay, when you read the text, you want to really annotate the text. If you haven't already seen my annotating video on my YouTube channel, you definitely want to check it out. I mean, I talk about annotating literally in every video I make and in every class that I have. So my video lesson on annotating will take you through what is annotating, how do you annotate, and most importantly, why should you annotate? How does it benefit you? So check out that one. Okay, assuming you know how to annotate, okay, you definitely want to annotate the text for the text analysis. And when you do, keep in mind that you're annotating for writing this type of essay. So you want to be thinking while you're reading this text, what is the central idea? Okay, and some students struggle with what that means. It's not a summary. What does it mean? What is the central idea? Well, it means what is the point? What's the point of this? What's the point of this story? What's the point of this text? What does the author want me to understand or appreciate? Really, the central idea is like the theme of the text. I think students are pretty good at picking out themes. So, just think, what's the point? What does the author want me to understand or appreciate? And you should be thinking about that while you're reading the text. Now, you're going to have to write about one literary strategy that the author uses. So while you're reading the text, you want to be searching for these and annotate in a very meaningful way. So look for those literary elements. Pay close attention to the characterization that the author uses and the conflict that the author creates. Authors often use these to help make strong points in their writing. There really isn't going to be a literary piece that you're given that doesn't have characterization and that doesn't have conflict. They're all going to have characterization and conflict. Um, so look for those. Okay, in my classes, I typically say that characterization and conflict are most often the easiest ones to write about when they're doing a Regents Part 3 text analysis. Okay, of course, you don't have to choose those, but oftentimes they are the easiest ones and have the strongest correlation to the central idea. Okay, so here are some common literary elements that I find students use for task 3 or part 3, whatever you like to call it. Conflict. When we write about conflict, we typically write about internal or external conflict or both. Um, Characterization, symbolism, point of view. You have to be a little careful with point of view. Oftentimes, students will write about point of view, but they're not really talking about the literary term point of view. So if you do choose to write about point of view, which can make for a really great essay, make sure that you're talking about the literary term point of view, not just, oh, this character's perspective on something, Franklin's point of view on something. That's not the literary usage of it. So if you do choose point of view, you want to talk about first person point of view, second person point of view. This story was told in the third person omniscient point of view. It enabled us to see how this character was really feeling. We could see that this character was not being honest with his father, right? Because of this third person omniscient point of view that the author used, we were able to see that he wasn't being honest, that he wasn't comfortable sharing his true feelings with his father. That's how you want to use point of view. So just be careful with that one. Figurative language, if you do have a text that has lots of figurative language that relates to the essential idea, you should definitely use it. So you might use the broader umbrella term figurative language if you see metaphors, similes, personification, hyperbole. So you might see a variety of examples of figurative language, in which case you could choose figurative language to talk about and use all those as examples. Setting, of course, you can write about setting, but only if it really relates to the central idea. Otherwise, you would never choose that. Diction, imagery. Again, you have to be careful with imagery. Sometimes students will choose to write about imagery, but they're writing about imagery in a way that does not relate to the central idea. So again, if you're going to choose imagery as the technique you want to write about, you need to do it in a way that it's showing that the author used it to develop the central idea. Contrast, repetition, mood, tone, these could be wonderful sometimes. Irony, structure, and if the author uses some type of shift in order to have us understand the point. Okay, so you want to be really looking closely at those characters. Look for the characterization, the development of the character. Is this character happy, unhappy, anxious? Is the character kind, selfish, self-conscious, confident, honest? Does this character change? Does the character learn? Right? So you really want to look at the characterization. And of course, we want to examine the conflict. Is there a conflict? There probably is. Is it an internal conflict? I don't know what I should do. Or is there an external conflict? A struggle with another character, a struggle with his natural surroundings, a struggle with society. So let's talk about the internal and or external conflicts that we see if they relate to the central idea. Okay, while you're reading, again, you want to make use of your annotating. So while you're reading the text, keep your eyes open for good, powerful quotes. Okay, so when you see something that's really powerful, that's letting us know that a change is happening or what type of person the character is, you definitely want to highlight those quotes and label in the margin that these are good quotes that tell us certain things. Then we could easily use them to add support to our paper. Okay, so think of central idea as like the theme of the text. You want to make a meaningful statement that anyone can relate to. Sometimes I see students who write their central idea, but they're really writing more of like a summary of the text. We don't want to do that. Okay, your central idea should be a meaningful statement that anyone can relate to. Okay, it's the main point of the text, but it should be a general statement about life, not specific to the characters in the text. You'll get specific to the characters in the text in that body paragraph, but you first have to establish a really strong, powerful, broad central idea. So think of central idea as a statement about life. And here are some examples coming up. Okay, so depending on what your story is about, obviously there are different types of central ideas, but notice that these are all statements about life, these types of central ideas. Being generous can lead to happiness. Family is the most important thing in life. Staying positive can help you to survive a difficult situation. It's important to help your friends. Difficult challenges can make people stronger. It's important to find your own path in life. So each of these is a central idea that's broad and strong. It's a statement about life. Again, so I suggest that we use the 3-paragraph format. The directions will say 2 to 3 paragraphs. I just tend to think that this is an easier way to go about it. Introduction, body, conclusion. Introduction. You're going to introduce the passage with a tag, title, author, and genre, and identify the central idea. I usually suggest having 2 sentences of central idea just to have sound more thoughtful, more insightful. You can have a one sentence central idea, but I tend to encourage my students to have two sentences so it gives the reader an opportunity to recognize the thoughtfulness that went into this. In your introduction, you also want to name one of the literary techniques that the author uses to develop the central idea. Okay, so your one body paragraph, of course, needs to be really well developed. Make sure you have a topic sentence that identifies the literary technique the author uses to develop the central idea. Then you want to go ahead and explain, give examples, make sure you have some quotes. The directions will not tell you to use in text citations like line 23. But of course, you know, as an English student, that you should go ahead and put those in text citations in there. Okay, make sure that you're connecting with the central idea throughout your text. The purpose of this whole essay is, what literary technique did the author use? What did the author do to make us understand the point of the story? Right? Did the author develop this type of conflict between the characters so that we understand the point of the story? Did the author use characterization to help us see the point? Right? So you want to really think of that as your purpose of writing. Okay? Try to have at least two or three examples, and make sure your voice is in there. We really want to hear you explaining. Show us how using this literary technique developed the point of the story. I need to hear your voice in there, not just quotes. It shouldn't be quote, explain, quote, explain, quote, explain. Your voice needs to be heard. Okay, your conclusion is not difficult at all. You're really going to pretty much restate your intro in a different way. So, restate the central idea and how the author's use of the literary writing technique helps to develop the central idea. This does not have to be long. You can actually accomplish this in two sentences. I like to add that third sentence if possible, but really a nice brief conclusion for this type of essay will be perfectly fine. Okay, so that was just a brief review of how to go about that part 3 text analysis on the Regents. If you find that this video lesson was helpful to you, please click like. I would really appreciate that. And subscribe to my channel if you like. I'm going to be posting a lot of different videos. As long as you think they're helpful, I'm going to just keep posting them. And teachers, if you'd like to have a clean copy of this PowerPoint to use in your own classroom, um, you certainly can go to Teachers Pay Teachers. My link will be below, and you can download any of my resources there. I do have outlines there as well. Okay, so that's it. Have a great day.